welcome to Hashimoto's Unfiltered, real talk, real solutions. The podcast where we cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of living with Hashimoto's. My name is Dr. Ray Benedetto, your host, and I'm here to share my expertise, personal insights, and from time to time, conversations with incredible guests to help you take control of your health. Together, we'll explore actionable items, debunk myths, and navigate the complexities of your thyroid health. So whether you're newly diagnosed or a seasoned warrior, this is your space for unfiltered truth and real hope. Let's dive in. The two-pronged attack, or the two-pronged approach, let's say, to Hashimoto's, right? To treating Hashimoto's, to getting it better. Let's kind of backtrack, big picture, and then we'll kind of get into the nitty-gritty here. So Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition. Autoimmune meaning your immune system's attacking you. It's the most common autoimmune condition out there by far. Well, not by far, but it's the most common autoimmune condition in the United States. Let's put it that way. The part of you that gets affected, obviously, is the thyroid. So the immune system is, definition of an autoimmune disease, immune system is turning inward and attacking the person. And when it attacks the thyroid, Hashimoto's or Graves, we've used those terms historically, but autoimmune thyroid is autoimmune thyroid. Most people, they'll go hypo eventually or low thyroid. Some people will go hyper. That's a smaller percentage, but it happens. I work with those people as well because the key is addressing the autoimmunity. Nothing else matters, gang. So we're going to circle back around to that. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to touch on this topic today is all the chatter that I hear all the time and all the messages I get all the time is about everything else except treating the cause of the problem. Everything else except treating the autoimmunity. What supplement do I take? What lab test do I need? That kind of stuff. When the answer is the two-pronged approach. And those two prongs are this. And these are train tracks that run kind of side by side with each other. It's how I describe it to patients. The first track, or the first prong, if you will, in the spear is figuring out someone's root causes. Those are the things we call them triggers. I've been doing this a long time. So we call them triggers. Nowadays, everyone calls them root causes, but we call them triggers. I've touched on numerous times on these talks, a lot of them, all of them, really. So that's things like vitamin deficiencies. That's things like food sensitivities. That's things like leaky gut. That's things like hormone imbalances. That's things like adrenal issues. That's things like chronic infections. I just had someone who started with me today, parvovirus. We got to check for Epstein-Barr, Lyme disease. Like these are chronic infectious agents. Mold. What else we got? DNA. So like genetic mutations. A lot of you who are listening to this have heard of and have looked into things like MTHFR mutations and that kind of stuff. So we need to look for and identify any and all of those things in the person. It's going to vary from person to person. It's going to be a combination of those things, but it's going to vary, right? Everyone's going to have a different combination of stuff, if you will. Trauma, stress, those kinds of things. And some of them have already come and gone, but we need to deal with the repercussions or they're ongoing. So track number one, prong number one, identifying someone's root causes. And we're going to need to address them eventually, but we've got to look for them first. We got to figure them out for that person. That's like the long-term look. So we need to identify root causes, and that's going to end up be a long-term play towards remission. The second track, or the second prong, if you will, of the spear, is the implementation of an AIP protocol. You guys have heard me talk about this over and over and over and over again on these chats, but it's essential. It has to be done. And they both have to be done at the same time. So when we're looking for triggers or root causes, a lot of times that's testing. Some of the stuff we can see on blood work. You guys have heard me talk on and on and on about how I love the Dutch test, how I do DNA testing on most of my patients, because we have, the Dutch test and the DNA helps us look for those things, hormones, adrenals, nutrients, genetics, things that aren't super reliable or readily checked on regular blood tests. So testing, identifying root causes is going to be testing. And sometimes those are things like, okay, we're going to do the testing right away. Like get started with treatment. It's like, okay, we got to do this test and that test. Let's get those done. Let's get them sent to the labs, wherever they got to go. And then it's going to take some time to get the results back. While we're waiting, let's jump right in with an AIP protocol. So an AIP protocol is autoimmune protocol. Okay. It must be done. There's no way around it. I know, some people are like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, it's just, there's no way around it. It has to be done. I'm pretty much a wizard at this point at helping my patients to implement it. So I teach them how to do it because it can be very daunting and very tough to do on your own, obviously. So it's a huge part of what I do with all my new patients is like, okay, we need to look for X, Y, and Z with you based on your individual case. Let's get started with an AIP protocol. I'll coach you up and show you how to do that. So an AIP protocol is an autoimmune protocol. So it's a combination of dietary nutritional work. So we start with an elimination diet. Everyone thinks like AIP equals elimination diet. It's much more comprehensive than that, but that's where we start. So I have my patients at least for 30 days. We do an elimination diet where we're taking foods out. We take anything out of the diet that could be a problem because this will help take care of any food issues. Foods that people could be having sensitivities to. It's the quickest, easiest way to get someone turned around, to be honest with you, is cleaning up a super healthy anti-inflammatory diet that is void of foods that could be triggering potential immune responses, all the garbage, the processed stuff, the inflammatory foods that cause leaky gut, all that kind of stuff. So we need to do that for at least 30 days, sometimes longer, but we do that for a minimum of 30 days. And then I prescribe a handful of nutritional supplements along with that help to check off a lot of the big boxes. They help to check off inflammation, helps with anti-inflammatories, immune support, thyroid nutrient support, gut repair. We got to fix people's gut, liver support, cellular detoxification, those kinds of things. So the AIP protocol is good at handling all of that stuff right out of the chute. So my goal with patients with that second prong, the AIP protocol, is to help them get ramped up on that and get it done as quickly as possible, because that's going to help give relief. That's going to help with symptom relief in that first 30 days. My goal with everybody, we don't always hit this goal, but my goal with everybody is 50% symptom relief in that first 30 days. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm always gunning for that. Is that in that first 30 days, we start with the elimination and we're doing some testing and we're doing some supplements. And it's like, I want someone to do a 180, okay, in that first 30 days. We're not done, but the goal of an AIP protocol and why it has to be done is it puts the brakes on this thing and turns the ship around while we're looking for additional triggers. So then after that first 30 days, now we're working on the long game. So short game right away, get someone turned around, starting getting some relief, start to be like, whew, all right, great, I'm starting to feel better. Long play, so over the next couple of months, usually I'm working with someone. The long play is now, what did we find outside of an AIP protocol? Like what else did we find as far as triggers go? That's not foods, it's not leaky gut, it's not inflammation, it's the other stuff that we tested for. What did we find for this person? And now how do we implement treatment strategies to take care of those things? If it's genetic, it's not going anywhere. Like your DNA is your DNA. But what can we do to mitigate that and neutralize it? Or, what kind of protocol do we need to put in place because this individual has Epstein-Barr virus or parvo, a chronic viral infection, or mold, or like that? Now it's a long play because now we're shooting towards remission. So there's a method to the madness with everything I do with my patients, and a reason why I do things the way I do them is those are the two tracks. Those are the two prongs, the tips of the spear, if you will, that are all that matters. Nothing else matters. Until those two things are done and you have Hashimoto's, you cannot get better. You're not going to get better. And like I said, I wanted to talk about this today because just this past week, like, there's just been so much noise and so much chatter coming at me, like lab tests and, what supplement do I take? Like just like piecemealing stuff, like exactly like I said, like, oh, I know I gotta, how do I fix my gut? And what supplements do I take to fix my gut? And I have Hashimoto's, like, these are my symptoms. Like what's my dose? What dose of levothyroxine should I be on? Like, what test do I need to have done? What supplement do I need to take? What magic diet do I need to follow? Like, they're not bad questions. They're the wrong questions, but it's not, and I don't mean to say that to disparage anybody. That people asking me the questions don't know they're the wrong questions, which is why I'm doing this talk, for example. So it's like, now I can record it for all of eternity. People can hear it and listen to it. They're not wrong questions. It's you don't know the right questions to ask. And the right question to ask is, how do I implement an AIP protocol? How do I figure out my triggers? How do I figure out my root causes? Those are the only two things that matter. Until those things are done, and until those things are implemented, until those things are accomplished, nothing else matters. Nothing else is going to help. We have to get to the bottom of the cause of the problem, which is the autoimmune situation, which is the Hashimoto's. We have to figure out what is causing that, and we have to game plan how we're going to take care of those things. How are we going to get the immune system to stop attacking me? How are we going to start healing stuff up? How are we going to address triggers on an individual basis when we find them, because they're going to vary from person to person? Nothing else matters. Yes, do we need to have someone on the proper medication dose if they need thyroid hormone replacement? Yes, of course. But that may never happen. We may be playing the game with the medication forever unless we do an AIP protocol and we take care of triggers and we get the Hashimoto's under control. Everything else is trying to push a string uphill with your nose, as they say. Nothing else matters. What supplement to take, what dose of the medication to take, none of it matters. The only thing that matters, gang, I'm trying to boil this down. The only thing that matters with Hashimoto's are these two prongs. And again, there's so many layers underneath them, but I'm trying to keep things simple today. Figure out your triggers and figure out ways that we can deal with them. Implement an AIP protocol. Those two things must be done. If they're not done, we're not going to get anywhere. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. I have these conversations daily. Everyone's struggling with symptoms. Everyone's fighting with their doctors or fighting with their medication dosages and all this kind of stuff. And the only question I ask them, if they don't tell me this, the only question I ask them is, okay, you have all this going on. Have you been diagnosed with Hashimoto's? And if the answer is no, it's like, okay, we need to do that. Like, we need to see if you have Hashimoto's, because if you do, none of this other stuff's going to help. What is going to help? The two-pronged attack, the two-pronged approach. That we have to start there. If someone comes to me and they're like doing all this stuff, I'm getting all these tests done, I have all these symptoms, I'm jumping this doctor, that doctor, I've seen 10 endocrinologists, my medication's all over the place, I'm trying this supplement, what do I do? I say, have you been diagnosed with Hashimoto's? And they say yes. Then we circle right back around to the beginning of the conversation. Okay, then this is what has to be done. We can worry about the other stuff later, but until these two things are done, we're always going to be treading water. We're going to be drowning, really. But have you done these two things? No. You need to do those two things. If you want my help doing them, I will help you to do them. That's why I'm here. That's my mission in life. But it starts and ends there, gang. If you don't do those two things, nothing else matters. Never going to get better. Nothing cool down the road can happen after that. So hopefully this won't be the last time I have to say this or type it in a message. Later this afternoon, someone's going to private message me and they're going to be like, I have all these symptoms. What do I do? And I'm going to be like, do you have Hashimoto's? And they're going to say yes or no. And if they say no, I'm going to say, you got to go get tested to see if you have it. And if you do, we start with the two-pronged approach. If you have it and you're not doing the two-pronged approach, guess what? That's where it starts. It's really as simple as that, gang. Until those two things are done, nothing moves. Nothing happens. Nothing gets better. Everything else is white noise. Everything else is just noise. So I think that's it. I don't want to keep beating the dead horse, but that's the way it goes, gang. Everything else is like, it doesn't matter. Anything else is just noise, So if you get nothing else from this talk today, yes, we need to take care of those things. But if we don't take this two-pronged approach, if we don't figure out triggers and deal with them, and we don't implement an AIP protocol, we're never going to get those other things fixed. We're never going to get, your labs may get normal, you're never going to get better, or we're going to be playing this medication game forever. It's just, this is it. I'm giving you the straight line. This is it. You have to do those two things. I know it stinks, and I wish it were easier, and my patients wish it were easier. It just isn't. It's just, this is the way it goes. I will make it as easy as possible. That's what I do with my patients, is to show them how to do all this. Like, my job is to take care of all that stuff, not their job. I tell my patients, I'm like, your job is just show up and follow instructions. I'll do all the doctor stuff, and we'll figure it all out together, and we'll get a plan in place together, and we'll get you fixed up, But until that's done, everything else is just hot air. Again, those things, I'm not saying all those things aren't important, but they're not going to move the needle at all until we hit the two tips of the spear there. So, all right, I'm going to stop soapboxing for today, but I hope that makes sense, gang. Again, I know it's not sexy, and it's not the new internet sensation, and it's not the social media trend, and it's not the new hot supplement or new hot program someone's selling, but that's just the reality of it. That's just the way it goes. And, it stinks. I get it. Everyone wants to just go about their life and eat what they want, do what they want. And, and I get it. But once you've been diagnosed with an autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's, there's no other way around it. These things have to be done if you want to get well. I want to thank you for tuning in to Hashimoto's Unfiltered, Real Talk, Real Solutions. Again, my name is Dr. Ray Benedetto, and I hope today's episode helped to give you the tools and the insights you need to take another step forward on your Hashimoto's journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode if you think someone could benefit. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Dr. Ray Benedetto and on my website, drraybenedetto.com, for more resources and updates. Until next time, remember, you're not alone and real solutions are always within reach. Take care and be well.